Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are.
Hello, hello.
John Baldino.
And I'm Chris Carlone. We have a surprise location today. We are shooting live from Scarpetta.
Woohoo!
It's in Rittenhouse, just south of Walnut Street. It is amazing.
In Philadelphia, for those of you watching from all over the world. So behind us is a portion of the wine selection here at Scarpetta. If you are in the city, make sure you stop by here. We're happy for them to be one of our many clients and love the food here too. So thanks, Scarpetta, for letting us hang out here this morning to do our Facebook Live.
Cool. Well,
what do you got for me, sir?
Let's talk cultural implications of turnover.
Okay.
Right, so we understand that attrition is a normal part of business.
Yep.
It happens.
Yep.
But what is the domino effect from that? So let's start at the sort of fundamentals of what types of turnover are there.
Right. Okay. So there's either voluntary or involuntary. Typically, that's the sort of checkbox. Involuntary would be, being fired. Right. There's policy violation, or your, performance isn't where it needs to be. Whereas, voluntary term would be separation. You've resigned, right? I'm making a choice to do that. So typically they're the ones.
Now, does it make a difference?
There's also death.
Oh, death. Okay.
Yeah, death sometimes gets in the way of your employment status.
Right. Okay. That's a good one. All right. So moving on. So talking about the voluntary versus the involuntary term, is there a difference if an employee resigns or is fired?
Certainly. Yes. Can I say yes and no? So here's what I mean by that. If you have a lot of folks resigning, why? Right? Is that because there's a problem with management, with the job duties itself? And perhaps we have fired as many people as have quit in that same role because something's wrong with the role or the process behind that role. So it doesn't necessarily have to be mutually exclusive, but certainly they can be, right? There are people that we terminate from an involuntary standpoint because, again, their performance is not where it needs to be. They don't have the skill set for the job that they said that they did. It's a riff. We're overstaffed. We have to cut back on some. There are those reasons. Those reasons can culturally impact an organization. Those folks that are out listening right now, I've been doing HR for a while, a layoff can be pretty significant in terms of how it impacts the culture, right? As opposed to a resignation, why are people resigning? Maybe it's because you've hired the wrong kinds of folks. You were asking for the wrong kinds of skill sets or not paying attention enough to the right kinds of skill sets. So again, I know that's a lot, but there's a variety of different reasons that play into a separation.
Okay, so outside of the sort of laundry list of reasons, we know there's many.
Right.
One that you mentioned that's interesting is management. Right, so management could in turn cause some folks to run for the hills.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To the flip side, while we won't go into all the reasons why management could turn folks away, what role does management play in protecting the culture, if that makes sense, as it relates to the resignations or layoffs or what have you?
So, one simple thought to start with is if your managers are not trained, they don't know how to be managers. We've just promoted some folks because they were there.
But they have the manager title.
But they have manager, therefore I know how to manage. If they're running their department or their team similar to how they view the individual role that they used to have as a worker bee or task oriented, their effectiveness as a manager may not be supportive enough for the team. And so people may leave as a result of, nobody's leading this thing, I don't know what I'm doing, nobody's here to help me, this guy or girl that's managing has no clue. That revolving door might be problematic, right? And culturally, people will either have a bad impression of the overall company or at the very least of that department.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk company culture. Obviously, the implications of turnover on teams, individually, and organizations as a whole could be far-reaching.
Yeah.
But what if a company says, we're not worried about our culture, we don't maybe have a culture, we don't pay attention enough to it, sort of brush it off?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I mean, we've experienced, even at Humoriso, there are organizations that will defer to, we don't have time for culture. That's a big company perspective, right? We are too small. We've got to just get our jobs done. I would submit every company has a culture. You may not put much time into it, but that doesn't mean there isn't a culture. Right? Your culture might be, we don't care. That is a culture.
Yikes.
Your culture might be, I only look at as an owner, right? I only look at my employees as a means to an end. I don't really care about you. I don't want to invest in you. Right now, we just have to get this work done, and therefore, just get it done. Well, that feeds into an overall atmosphere or flavor of your culture.
Sure.
And so people may not stay as a result of that unintentional culture. And businesses should be thoughtful to, look, I know we're small. I know we're small and mighty. I know we're trying to be small and nimble. Be thoughtful about what you're doing with those few people that you have. Breaking their backs because you're dictating it is not likely going to keep people, and that turnover will impact hiring.
Sure.
As opposed to, we're willing to break our backs for you because we see where we're trying to get to, we see what this company is trying to become, we appreciate the technology that's connected to it, we know you're doing everything you can. There's a difference. That's a difference. I might want to sacrifice more for that organization because I appreciate the culture.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's sort of both sides of the fence. Everyone's got to give a little bit.
Right.
So here's let's call it the $1 million question. If I have an employee that I'm going to, separate with for whatever reason, voluntary or involuntarily, do we, and it's going to cause a huge rift in the culture of my organization,
Right.
am I stuck with that person to protect my culture? Do I retain them to, shield my culture, even though they're not a top performer, not showing up, what have you?
Yeah, I mean, that is a good question. My response to that would be, number one, I never think it is a good idea for any organization to be held hostage to anybody. That probably is bad form on behalf of the company. Because then who's really leading, right? Is it the inmates running the asylum in some ways, right? I should never feel like because this person isn't performing, I'm stuck because they're going to impact culture negatively. If I've allowed that to go on for so long, then that's my own fault, right? And I have to make a change. So if that's unhealthy, I would say get rid of it. And if that's that person, get rid of it. Own what you didn't do correctly. Be transparent, perhaps, to a degree with the staff that remain,
Sure.
and move forward in establishing something healthier. I would say, though, on the other side of the coin, if you feel like this person isn't the right person and they've been allowed to kind of go on for a long time, you have to be ready to maybe redefine the position a little bit more. Because if you've chosen to sort of let that go on for a long time, you have assimilated to the kind of work output that person is doing, and others are going to mirror that as well. So as a business owner, as a manager or a director, I've got to hit reset on my expectation around that position. It isn't just I'm going to fire this person, peace out. It's this isn't working, and here's where I've screwed up, and now here's the redefinition, so to speak, of the role.
Interesting.
And that will help culture.
Okay.
Cool.
I think that wraps it up for today. We are out of time, but you heard it here.
Hard question.
Turnover has sort of a domino effect on many other things, so be aware and let us know if you have questions.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Scarpetta for the venue.
Thank you, Scarpetta. Appreciate it.
Come have lunch with us. See you next time.
See you. Have a great weekend.